Welcome, everyone, to another edition of The Travel Show with your host, Ted Blank. Ted, it's great to see you. How have you been?
I've been doing well. It's great to be back.
How are things in the world of luxury travel and adventure?
Well, things are going well. It would be nice if the airlines wouldn't cancel flights, but other than that, everything's going really well, and folks are traveling, and you know, the good news is that when those flight cancellations come up, we can usually work around them.
You know, that's
it's
the
been
beauty
really busy
of working with a travel agent is that you're the one that looks for their lost luggage. And
I do. Yeah. So they're here to help when the situation calls for it. Yeah.
So do you think things are kind of returning to normal?
Yeah, it's actually interesting. Today there was an announcement that the Centers for Disease Control has wrapped up. They've closed the program they had that put COVID restrictions on cruise ships. And most destinations have removed most, if not all, of the pre-travel COVID restrictions. So I think things are in, good shape from a travel perspective. There might be some requirements introduced over the course of the winter, but I think the good news is that we're in a situation where travel is going to continue. Folks can plan with confidence and look forward to enjoying a vacation.
And you mentioned confidence. I think that people are feeling more confident
I think
to travel.
Definitely they are. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was in Alaska last month, and everybody was enjoying themselves, really excited to be out traveling again after some time not traveling. And so I think once folks get out there, they'll be ready to go back for more.
I love it. So one of the places that you wanted to talk about is Jamaica.
Yes.
A place that maybe may or may not be on your list of, your radar or whatever.
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about Jamaica? What do you love about it?
Well, Jamaica is probably one of the most beautiful places on Earth. It is an island that's green and lush.
Lush is the word.
Yeah, very, very lush. I mean, it's got, beautiful scenery. You almost can't find an unattractive view as you drive from place to place. A few rundown buildings every once in a while. But it's just really a beautiful place. The folks who work in the hospitality industry in Jamaica are super friendly. They're super dedicated. And it's a place where if people are looking to go someplace warm in the winter or in the spring, maybe they've been to Mexico a few times and are looking to try something different, I think it's a great option. And it's easy to get to because there are nonstop flights to the main airport there in Montego Bay pretty much throughout the whole year.
That's a big thing for a lot of people. Either if it's because of time or you said there's less error of losing your luggage or, having this happen with a connecting flight or something. So that's a great point.
Yeah, it is a great selling point. And I think, in Minnesota compared to a place like Chicago or New York or Atlanta or Miami, bigger cities than us, they have nonstop flights to almost every island in the Caribbean. And we don't. But Jamaica is a place that we do have those nonstop flights to, so that makes it a very attractive choice.
And what would the flight be? How long is it?
It's about 4 hours.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Basically same distance as Cancun if you're going to Mexico.
Right.
About 4 hours.
So what would you say the difference is between going to Cancun versus Jamaica?
Well, first of all, Jamaica is an island, and so everything has to be either raised locally or brought in. And so in Mexico, things can be imported from the United States. It's a big country. Jamaica's a very small country. So it's got a little more of maybe a boutique ambiance
that's a
to
good way
it.
to say it.
Versus maybe a little more of a larger destination, a larger market feel to it. So things in Jamaica just tend to be smaller. The beaches are spectacular. Jamaica has, when they do those rankings of the best beaches in the world, Jamaica's usually got 3 out of the top 5 beaches are in Jamaica. And another advantage that's maybe a little more subtle is that everyone in Jamaica, English is kind of their native language. And so there's no language barrier when you're speaking to the people who are working in the properties. They all speak English because it's their language as well.
Jamaica actually is popular, I know, for a destination wedding. Mm-hmm. Is that something that, I know you're not a wedding planner that I know of, but that's something you can help people put together, that piece of a destination wedding.
Yeah, absolutely. Destination weddings,
destination
family reunions.
Yeah.
That's something that's actually become more and more popular, even pre-COVID, but I think it was one of those things where COVID hit the accelerator, where people may say, instead of going to grandma's house for Christmas,
let's all go to Jamaica.
Grandma, hop on the plane. But I think it's a neat thing to do because it takes the stress out of holidays for everybody. But yeah, destination weddings to Jamaica are a big thing. Jamaica is one of the top honeymoon destinations in the world. The Sandals Resort brand, that's the resort brand for couples only. That's actually a Jamaican company. It's 100% Jamaican
I did not
owned.
know
Yeah,
that.
it's 100% Jamaican owned. And they have a second brand called Beaches that has resorts that are for families as well, but their roots are in Jamaica. That's something that's unique, is that Jamaica has a lot of Sandals resorts. I think they have 9 or 10 resorts. I kind of can't keep track anymore. They keep adding new properties, but they're kind of the cat's meow of Caribbean resorts, and you have a wide selection of them in Jamaica.
So Jamaica obviously seems like it would be a great destination. What are some of the choices that we would have? Is there a place that's more off the beaten track versus a place that's more populated?
Popular. Yeah, so there are sort of 4 resort destinations in Jamaica. And the first one is Montego Bay. And Montego Bay is where the international airport is. And so some of the resorts are 5 minutes away from the international airport. So if you want easy access to some beautiful resorts in a beautiful area, Montego Bay, great choice. Montego Bay is on the north shore of the island. So as you kind of head along the coast, you'll eventually come to the city of Ocho Rios. And Ocho Rios is where the world-famous Dunn's River Falls waterfalls are located. So you see the pictures of the people climbing up the waterfalls and their aqua socks on ropes. That's there. And that's kind of the second big resort area in Jamaica.
And what's the feel of that? Is it less populated?
It's a lot smaller.
Yeah.
It's a lot smaller area. It's more spread out. The resorts are a little more secluded, whereas in Montego Bay, they might be a little more of a city feel to the resort after resort along the beach. But it's a gorgeous spot. It's about 90 minutes away from the airport in Montego Bay. Then if you kind of go the other way and you kind of cut your way across the island, you come to Negril. And Negril is famous for its beach. That's the one that kind of always wins the award.
And why do you think it wins awards all the time?
It is just beautiful. I mean, it is white, flat, sandy beach, beautiful swimming. I mean, when people think of that Caribbean paradise beach, they're thinking about Negril. That's probably the picture they have in their mind. And so it's a smaller destination. There aren't as many resorts there. The resorts there are going to be a little bit smaller, but you have access to just this beautiful beach. And then if you really want to kind of get a little bit off the beaten path, there's a little area on kind of the southern tip of Jamaica the town is called White House.
I've heard of that.
It's basically, it's described as the South Coast, and Sandals has the only resort there. It's called Sandals South Coast, and it's by itself. There aren't any other resorts around it. And so if you're looking for that total escape from the rest of the world, that's a really neat option as well. And again, those are both about 90 minutes from the main airport in Montego Bay.
So you could help us, though, put together something where somebody could meet us at the airport and transport us.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people, when they're going on vacation to a warmer destination, they want everything taken care of. So they want to be met at the airport, taken to their resort. They might even want to do sort of a VIP arrival at the airport so they don't have to wait in the line for customs. And I don't know about you, but I always seem to be the last person off the airplane and have to wait the longest. So we have some ways to kind of do some skip the line in there.
I love all these tricks
yeah,
that you
it's
have.
just kind of a little trick to make the vacation better. And a lot of times it's important to talk about the differences between the different resorts. And it could be location. It could be what kind of a beach are you looking for. It could be the kind of the vibe the resort has.
Those are all things that are important to flesh out.
They're important to flesh out, and you can't tell from the internet, right? The pictures all kind of look the same. And some resorts are very quiet, very sedate, very relaxed, and others are a lot more active. They have entertainment and more of a vibe that maybe younger people would like. But if that's not what you're looking for, you'd hate to be, trying to sit quietly reading your book while the DJ is going behind you, or vice versa. If you want a disco and everybody's lying around reading their book, you're snoring by 9, nap time. You might not like that. Just sift through all those different options and make sure we pick the best experience for you.
So can you please tell people again, I think it's so interesting that you are part psychologist with what you do. You like to meet people and really ask questions and listen. Yeah,
psychologists might be maybe amateur psychologists, like what's her name, Lucy from Charlie Brown. She's
5 cents.
I'm in 5 cents. But no, it's really important to talk to people and to listen to them and to listen to what they're looking for, because none of us are the same. And what might be really attractive to you might be really unattractive to somebody else. And so it's important to understand that and be able to make a good recommendation.
And that is something that maybe people don't even know. I mean, maybe
No.
they come in and they think they want to do this, and then when you ask them other questions, does it
and,
change
and
ever?
that's the thing about Jamaica, too, is, there are some of the big marquee brand properties there, Sandals and some of the other resorts, but there are a lot of little boutique hotels in Jamaica as well. And they might not be all-inclusive resorts. And for some people, that's exactly what they're looking for.
And you call that the European way?
It's called the European plan.
The
because,
European plan?
The European plan doesn't include meals, or it includes breakfast. And there are some just spectacular European plan resorts in Jamaica that are absolutely worth a trip in and of themselves.
I think the nice thing, too, I can see both sides, but I think the nice thing about a European plan is sometimes if you're in a all-inclusive, you sort of feel like that's where I should stay.
You don't tend to leave the property.
As
yeah,
much,
and Jamaica,
right.
There's just so much
Well,
to
don't
see.
you think anywhere you go, there's
anywhere.
so much?
Oh, absolutely anywhere. But
And
Jamaica
so-
in particular, there's just cool stuff.
And day trips and that kind of
and-
thing?
Yeah, and I think it's great to spend some time laying by the beach. I mean, that's why a lot of people go to these warm weather destinations. But don't forget, there's a whole destination out there. I think you're exactly
And a whole
right.
culture to learn about. Try new foods.
Yeah, try their coffee, their Blue Mountain coffee. It's world famous.
Of course
Most
it
of us
is.
don't know that. Yeah, their rum is world famous too. But they have other things as well.
Ted, tell us again what would be a good time for us to think about going to Jamaica.
So the most popular times in Jamaica are going to be over the kind of the Christmas, New Year's season, what we call
Really?
kind of the festive season.
Okay.
Yep, because of those families doing family vacations over that time. And then it's going to be spring break. So kind of early to mid-March through mid-April. And those are going to be the peak seasons for travel. So if you want to get away in the winter and you want to go at a time that's a little bit less crowded and you don't have to worry about spring break for your kids, I would say to think about going after New Year's and before Valentine's Day.
Oh,
So January and February. If you kind of miss Valentine's Day, you can kind of sneak in the rest of February. But the weather's just as nice in February as it is in March. Prices are going to be lower and there are going to be fewer tourists there. Now, if you don't mind the heat, summer is a pretty reasonably priced time to go to Jamaica. And kind of my perspective is, hey, it's 95 and humid here, it's 95 and humid there, but you got a really nice resort. And I don't know about
You're
you,
on the-
but my house isn't all inclusive, so
Yeah.
I have to clean the bathroom every week. And so it is just kind of nice to get away. And especially if you have families too, it can be a really nice time to go because you might have a little more time to spend on the island.
so what would you recommend? 5 days, a week?
Most people go for 7 days.
Yes.
And that seems to work. One of the things that a lot of people don't even realize is possible is to do a split stay. To
What does
stay
that
at two
mean?
different properties.
Oh,
So spend a couple days in South Coast kind of by yourself, and then maybe go up to Ocho Rios where it's a little busier and you have some
Or vice
nightlife
versa,
or vice
yeah.
versa. Yeah, so you can split your stay between multiple properties, and nothing is really very far away. So you can get from one to the other relatively easily. And so if you have a little bit longer, if you have 10 or 14 days, I would definitely recommend doing that.
so from a cost perspective, where does this shake out? Let's say you've mentioned before, going to Mexico over the winter months is a pretty good bang for your buck.
Yeah, so Mexico is probably always going to be the destination where your dollar is going to go
Outside of the
a little
United
bit farther.
States.
Actually, Mexico, your dollar will go a lot farther in Mexico than it will in Florida or Hawaii.
What?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Hawaii, I see, but
Yeah, but Florida, your dollar will go a lot farther in Mexico.
Okay.
Jamaica is going to be a little higher priced than Mexico. The good news is Jamaica has properties at kind of all the price points, but they don't really have kind of the budget properties that you might find in
in a
Cancun.
Cancun, right?
Yeah, so you'll find more of the 4 and 5 star properties in Jamaica. And that's just because it's a smaller island, and if you only have a certain amount of space to use for a hotel, you'll probably build the nicest hotel you can build. And Jamaica does have some just really gorgeous, incredible, top-notch places to stay. A lot of more moderate properties that are great for families as well.
I did not know they were behind Sandals.
Yes. Well, it's a Jamaican company. It's owned by a Jamaican family, the Stewart family. They founded it, and they've owned it ever since.
And how old is that property?
That's a good question. They just celebrated an anniversary,
It
and
doesn't seem like it's very
It's
old.
at least 50. It's at least 50 years old.
Oh, it is.
And,
Okay.
they kind of invented the all-inclusive category.
Oh.
They were one of the first pioneers out there. And the founder, who was a gentleman named Butch Stewart, I think he bought like an old Holiday Inn. And he turned it into kind of this, beautiful resort with great service and designed for couples and the all-inclusive experience. And they've just been on a roll since then. So in Jamaica, you do really get a very authentic Jamaican experience with international level of standards to it. So it's a neat experience.
So the hospitality industry obviously is very important to Jamaica. Would you say that that's what most people that work in?
Yeah, it is by far the largest industry now. Jamaica, believe it or not, used to actually be a place where they mined a lot of bauxite, which is used in aluminum. They also grow coffee. So Jamaican coffee is, but tourism is the biggest industry there.
So again, if people want to learn more and they really don't know where to go, Jamaica is just one of many, many places that you can help people figure out.
Absolutely. And it may not be the right island for you, but I think for a lot of people who've never been there, they don't think about it as a, top 3 choices for their winter getaway, and I think it should be.
Well, there are so many different places in the world to visit, and it is nice to go someplace again and again and have familiarity.
Absolutely.
But it's also nice to try something new.
Yeah, it is. It's nice to try something new.
And is it too late for us to be planning next winter's vacation?
No, I think it's actually a really good time
Okay.
to be doing that, because once Labor Day comes around, people are going to really start to do that
Because they'll
seriously.
get their school schedules.
They'll get their school
Yep.
schedules, and they're going to start to do that seriously. And you want to be the one who snapped up that good room and that great flight before somebody else did.
Excellent.
Because definitely a shortage for next year.
So if people want to get a hold of you, how can they do that, please?
Best way to get a hold of me is to give me a call at 651-964-8245. You can visit my website. It's www.tedblanktravel.com. And I do put out a bi-weekly e-newsletter that you can sign up for. Or you can visit me on Facebook at facebook.com/TedBlankTravel.
Ted Blank is the host of the travel show on AM 1460 and FM 97.7 KDWA in Hastings. This travel show has been brought to you by Ted Blank, Luxury Travel and Adventures.